Good morning and welcome to Sierra Center for Spiritual Living. I am Rev Rafe, and I want to make sure I welcome everybody that is joining us on YouTube, on Facebook, and on our center's Zoom page. So we're going to get started with our first two community songs. I invite you right where you are to lift your voice and join in. Here we go. Well, I'm running solo this morning, so it might take me a minute to find what I'm looking for. Here we go. Good morning again, and welcome to Sierra Center for Spiritual Living. I want to welcome everybody on YouTube. I want to welcome everybody on Facebook, everybody on Zoom, and everybody who may be watching this on some other time other than Sunday morning. Because we do have some folks watching the service later in the week, and so I want to make sure that I welcome you as well. So let me remind those of us that are here all the time who and what we are, and share with you who we are. We are a radically inclusive, spiritually progressive, supportive community that celebrates the very diversity of creation. We strive to live authentic spiritual lives through a practical application of the teachings of science of mind. We engage in sacred practices that uplift our spirit, deepen our awareness, and ignite our soul self-expression. We demonstrate active compassion to ourselves, to one another, and the world. We experience meaningful contribution through giving generously of our time, talents, and treasures. And we intentionally, on purpose, shamelessly promote our community and our teachings. And so one of the ways that you can help us do that this morning is if you're watching on any social media platform, just grab that little share button at the bottom and share this live feed on your individual page, and that makes it available to even more folks. So one of the things that we do every Sunday morning is our inclusion candle lighting ritual. And we light these candles to celebrate the unity of all peoples, all faiths, all beings, all life. We light the first candle for the shamanic traditions, honoring the beliefs and practices of all indigenous peoples, the ways of primal spirituality. We light the second candle for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. We light the third candle for Taoism, honoring the path of ultimate reality, the natural way. We light the fourth candle for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. We light the fifth candle for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the middle way, the path of compassion. We light the sixth candle for all forms of Christianity, honoring the teachings of Jesus as the path of love, forgiveness, and healing by the presence within. We light the seventh candle for all forms of Islam, honoring the path of submission to the will of God as the highest calling. We light the eighth candle for the religion of Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and peace. We light the ninth candle for all forms of New Thought teachings, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through a practice of universal spiritual principles of love and law. We light the 10th candle for absolute inclusivity, affirming that all are welcome and celebrated here. And we light this final candle, honoring the infinity of oneness as all creation, seen and unseen. So now we're going to go to our next community song, and I'm going to make some adjustments on the camera so that my face isn't blocked out by our logo. Here we go.
See
Good morning again. So I'm going to make a few adjustments. You're going to get to be a part of the wizardry behind the scenes. I'm going to move this camera out just a fuzz so that the top of my head is not going away. And I'm going to grab this little rascal and move it down here. The magic. All right. And so I have been made aware that there was the volume of my voice was a little low, so I've moved that up again, so hopefully that's better for folks. So this is our time where we acknowledge our intentional giving. So before I go to that slide, I just want to remind everybody of how grateful I am for our regular folks that made a pledge last year, and despite all of the obstacles in this physical realm have actually honored those pledges, and some of you have even raised them to keep our center fiscally solvent during this time. And I just want you to know that regardless of how big or how small your gift of giving is, it is honored and welcome. And it's not all about money. Deborah has given enormously of her time because in the quarantine thing, because we're actually married and living under the same roof, it's safe for us to both be here. And thank goodness she's a licensed practitioner and has been here and honored that call on her life so many Sundays. I also want to thank Kate Stewart, who brought a living flower arrangement. And so once a week, I give it some water and take it outside for a walk in the sunshine, and it's lasting us, and that is just very, very precious. So thank you. So now we're going to go to our giving affirmation. All right, let's say this together. As soon as I move something out of my way so I can actually see it. There we go. Okay. Thank you for your patience this morning. All right, let's read our intentional giving affirmation together. I give this gift with love and joy from a consciousness of abundance. Divine love blesses and prospers all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is. All right. And so now we're entering our time of silent meditation. We're entering our time of the inward journey. And so I invite you to just allow whatever distractions are in your space to go away for just a brief period of time. I'm going to play our contemplative meditation. That will be followed by Deborah bringing us out of the meditation with an opening spiritual mind treatment, and then the reading of our affirmation. Here we go. This morning's contemplative meditation comes from the Complete Book of Life and How to Play It by Florence Scovel Shinn. Real love is selfless and free from fear. It pours itself out upon the object of its affection without demanding any return. Its joy is in the joy of giving. Love is God in manifestation and the strongest magnetic force in the universe. Pure, unselfish love draws to itself its own. It does not need to seek or demand.
Allowing your next breath to be a little bit deeper than the one before. Recognizing that the majesty and the glory and the beauty and the joy and the perfect peace is present right through and as the very breath that is being breathed as all sentient beings, as each one present in this service right now and beyond. That this breath is that point of connection, that point of light that joins all of life in majesty and glory. It is forever giving of itself, this one that is known by many holy names, recognizing that there is one source, one power, one presence. It is my life and it is breathing me right now. And so from this place of truth, I joyfully speak a word this morning, claiming, accepting, imagining that all needs are met. That all needs are met with ease and grace, just as soon as it is thought in mind, in the one mind, and asked, it is given. So grateful to recognize and to know that the beloved is expanding and knowing itself as all of creation in each and every moment. I'm recognizing that there is a love so mighty and powerful that it is pouring itself into all of life, right here, right now. Speak a word of blessing for this service this morning, giving thanks for this spiritual community, giving thanks for all of the love, all of the moments in spiritual community that have happened prior to this moment that I speak and beyond. Recognizing that this mighty love is just hungry to know itself more expansively in and through and as all of life. So my heart is filled with gratitude this morning to be here in service to Sierra Center for Spiritual Living. I give thanks for our beloved Reverend Rafe and for all of the community. And I release this word into that alchemy of love and law and simply allow it just to be. And together we say, and so it is. Welcome, welcome. My name is Deborah Ellis, and I am so privileged to be one of your licensed practitioners here at Sierra Center for Spiritual Living, and grateful to be in service here this morning. So what we're going to do now, and welcome everyone wherever you might be watching from. We're so glad you're here, and you are welcome here. So we're going to read our affirmation. I'll read it once through, and then we'll read it together. All right. As I change my thoughts and beliefs, the world around me changes. My mind is the mind of God itself. Together. As I change my thoughts and beliefs, the world around me changes. My mind is the mind of God itself. And so it is. Welcome.
All day long they want to shatter a shot. like a bunch of monkeys drunk on some high strong stuff. Now what you say is a lying part on display. Talk about the voices that you hear everywhere, on the street and in the mind of the media air. You can sway their protest in the way. They whine, they die. All the mind's resources, they hold your horses. I'm tired of listening to the bloody thoughts in my head. They'll try to think of something different instead. Boy, say, but in my love, you talking again. Tell myself some good news like a down to earth friend. Pay attention to the beauty that's around everywhere. I pray, I let my love to the top of the day. Don't listen to the hummingbird, the hawk, and the wind. Don't listen to my heart and to all of its skin. It's okay, let my love to the top of the day. The knowing voice, be numbing noise, given a choice in the matter, I choose the latter. I do it. The smart man needs to play the guitar. Doesn't need an arrogance, ain't looking to a running shake car. Let my love do the talking today. They say you are what you say, but they say my love to the talking today. I try to get out of my own way. Let my love to the talking today.
Good morning. That's better if I turn that on. All right, I'm going to make one little adjustment here so I'm not distracted during my talk. There we go. All right. It's interesting, I had to chuckle while the song was playing. There's a conversation happening on the ministers' listserv right now about how important it is to remain humble as ministers, because sometimes folks put us on pedestals and we don't belong on pedestals. And part of what the conversation is what do we do to stay humble? So do something completely new and different and manage technology all at the same time. It's a great avenue to humility and humor. All right. So this month we are focusing on living as compassionate conduits, channels for compassion. And this morning, my talk title is You Are the Activity of God's Motivation. And so we've covered what the infinite is. The foundation of our teaching is that God is infinite possibility, that it is quite neutral by definition, by science, it's neutral, that it expands itself by imparting, by infusing its creative energy, its creative essence within its creation. And so we literally become a place where God's idea is being expressed in our physical form. And at the same time, God's continued ideas are being captured, are being caught in our awareness and moved into being through the activity of our lives. Now, the first time I actually got that, it felt overwhelming because I was thinking about it through my ego, through all of my history of how many things I messed up in life. And I didn't want to mess up this God thing. And so I would invite you, if there's any part of you that gets the least bit concerned, is that you understand you can't mess this up. You can't. And when I say we can't mess it up, what I'm talking about is there's no way for us to not be the activity of the divine. No way for us to not be the activity of God. Because God is always creating. Our thoughts, our feelings, our urges, our actions are all demonstrative of God creating in, through, and as each and every one of us. What we have control over is how we do that, not if we do that. And I want to be really clear about that because some of us, and I know this because I've had conversations with you, think that there's a place where we can just take a break and not create. And that's just simply not true. Because that presupposes that creation stops for our rest and then starts again. And I submit to you that if creation were to stop, it would simply stop. There would be no restart. Game over. And so it doesn't. Creation just creates. And so how can we individually play a more integrated role in this creation thing? Well, first of all, we have to understand where we fit into the process. We have to understand that while each of us, not any one of us, is all of God, that all of God is fully present in each one of us. Now, I know that is a little mind-bending to our human brain, and it doesn't make it any less true. Let me say that again. None of us individually is all of God. And yet, all of God is fully present in every one of us. It's also fully present around us. It's fully present everywhere. Because there's only one, whatever it is. And so, whatever name we call it doesn't really matter. It matters in terms of us individually understanding it. And so you are free to name this divine, infinite substance whatever you want. Because it's just about how you understand it, how you relate to it. And if someone else's name for the infinite is challenging for you, well, there's the next place where we fit into this creative process. There is a collective consciousness that we are all swimming in. Because there is no way for an eternal being to expand its experience of itself and then eliminate any element of that experience. Because that would cease to be eternal. And so every thought that has ever been thunk, every imagination that has ever been imagined, every heart's desire that has ever been desired is eternally active in this collective consciousness. And so, how do we navigate those thoughts, those things in the collective consciousness that maybe aren't so helpful? Well, Ernest Holmes teaches that we neutralize them. We don't annihilate them. We neutralize them. Much like if we have a vial of acid and we want to turn it to base, we add chemicals and it chemicalizes into a neutral base liquid. And so thought is very much the same way. The tricky part, and I think it's where many of us, if not all of us, honestly, get challenged, is how to neutralize a thought without focusing on the thought we want to neutralize. Because if we focus on the thought we want to neutralize, we actually wind up empowering that thought, strengthening that thought, and neutralizing the thought that we actually want. And so it can be a little tricky. And so we go to the characteristics as best we can understand the character of God. We look at how it sustains its creation. It gives with complete neutrality and complete unrestrained abundance. In the Bible it says that God makes it rain on the just and the unjust alike. That's the neutrality of creation. It loves its creation, period. It doesn't love you based on what you do or how much you have. It just simply loves you. So, are we willing to neutralize our human judgments and just love? Are we willing to set aside all of the categories in our egoic use of mind? Any place where we have decided someone is undeserving of love because they've enacted some behavior that is so egregious to us that we've decided they're no longer worthy of love. That can be a tough one. For children that have suffered abuse at the hands of adults, that's a difficult one. For spouses that have suffered abuse at the hands of a spouse that took a vow to love them, it's challenging. And there are innumerable ways that it's challenging. And I think there's one key road that brings us home. And that is to be that loving presence no matter what. It doesn't mean that I'm saying what you did is okay. It means I see beyond your behavior, beyond what comes out of your mouth, beyond the things that you do. I am going to consciously, intentionally focus my awareness on the truth of you. That you are whole, perfect, and complete spiritually. Because what we know is when we awaken to the perfection, to the wholeness, to the completeness, we begin to act like that. And so healing that in the collective is where we participate with most efficiency in this idea that we are God's motivation. Because what motivates God is to express love. What motivates God is to express abundance, to express intelligence, to express creativity. And so how about we focus on expressing that? Excuse me. If we bend our attention away from hate, away from meanness, because I gotta tell you, I'm watching how ineffective it is for us as a human race to rail against meanness by being mean. It's not working. It's creating more division. And what would it be like if you found a way within yourself to hear the voice of God within you? Because it's in there. It's that still small voice that even in your own weakest moment, your own darkest behavior, it's that sense way deep within you that says you're okay. I know you did this, but you're not this. I know you think this, but you're not this. See, that still small voice is always talking to us. It is always whispering. It is always writing a love note on our heart. Will we read it? Will we listen? And once we become aware of it, will we act on it? Will we dare on those moments in those Facebook posts that we find so annoying or so egregious or so insulting to either respond lovingly, respond prayerfully, or to not respond at all, but to refrain from adding hatred. We have to start where we are. And sometimes the best thing we can do to start something new is to stop the old. Just stop. And take a breath. What would it look like on your social media platform if every time you saw a post that was painful for you to read, that you simply responded with, "You are the face of God. I love you." Now, having done that once or twice, I promise you, you're going to get some interesting feedback. Doesn't matter. They can't unread it. See, they can't unread it. They can't unhear it. That part within them that is all of God sees the truth in that statement. And it begins to neutralize the lie of separation. And so I challenge you this week in your interactions with family, with friends, with total strangers, to find the language that is uniquely yours to bring forward, to acknowledge that in every moment God is interacting with God, that love is interacting with love, that peace is interacting with peace, that beauty is interacting with beauty. See how you change. Because too often we get stuck in how somebody else is changing. See how you change. See how you feel differently. See how you experience being more of the activity of God's motivation by practicing it, by putting it in motion. And know that as you do that, the collective is healed in equal measure as each of us heals. That's how we heal the whole. We don't heal it with a baseball bat. We don't heal it with a megaphone. We heal it within our own awareness, our own use of consciousness. I think this is what Mother Teresa said when she said, if we do not have peace, it is because we have forgotten that we belong to one another. Do your part in the collective healing. Neutralize anything unlike God in your own being. Tell yourself the truth of your perfection, even if the truth of your perfection is showing up in someone else's imperfection. Let's take this into prayer. The breath of life is breathing me. One breath, one life, one love, one power, one presence. Infinite, no edges, no limitation. Its very center, everywhere present. Eternal, having no beginning, it can have no end. It simply is. And it is my life. Made out of it, by it, to be it. There is no separation. Made out of it, born of it, born into it. Always unified. Always unified. What is true of me is true of all life. And so every individualized expression of this one magnificent, infinite power and presence is this one life, energizing itself, expanding itself in experience. One breath, breathing multiplicity. One life, expressing diversity. One creation, fully unified, whole, harmonious within itself. So I speak my word, claiming and affirming that healing is the activity. Healing is the participation of the oneness. That each and every expression of divinity is awakening to our individualized magnificence. And as we awaken to our individualized magnificence, we know the magnificence of every cell in the one body. We lift up love, we lift up peace, we lift up power, beauty, creativity, presence, knowing that is the activity of the infinite. So we stand in the authority, in the agency. We stand in the responsibility, the ability within each organism to respond to the cry for healing. And we meet that yearning for truth with open minds, open hearts, embracing and neutralizing, living demonstration of oneness. So grateful. So grateful to know that just as quickly as the words are formed in mind and spoken in voice, the very authority that imagined them, spoke them, acts upon them and makes them so. And so it's done. It's done. It's done. I let it be. I invite you to anchor this word with me as we say together, Amen. Shalom. Aho. Ashe. And so it is. Let's take a deep breath. Before we change gears here. So I have some announcements for you. Let's see if I can get those rolled up here one by one. Oopsie. All right. Probably safer if I look over here. All right. So our annual Giving Pledge Drive has started, albeit a tick late this year. And in a year where nothing is predictable, well, here we are. So if you did not get a pledge letter, please shoot me an email at revrafe@sierracenter.org so that I can get one of those out to you. If you have one, I invite you to prayerfully consider your giving commitment for 2021. We do this because it's really necessary and helpful for us in terms of establishing our budget. We're working hard to operate in the spiritual principle of operating within a balanced budget. And so you are a conscious, intentional part of that process, and I invite you to participate as such. All right, let's see. What's next? Actualizing wholeness. Now this is an ongoing discussion group that if you are at all interested in taking a deeper dive into this realm of consciousness and how it can show up in you in ways that you have yet to even imagine, then I invite you to jump into this group. It literally is an open discussion format of curiosity and a complete abandonment of any outcome. It is simply a time where we come together and allow infinite possibility to show up in a new way in our awareness. It is delightful. It's on every Tuesday from 4:30 to 6:30 Pacific time. We do offer this on a love offering basis, and so you can go to our website and get the link that takes you to our Square store where you can give a love offering, and then we will send you the link to the Zoom group. It is held in the Zoom platform. So I want to thank those of you who joined me Friday evening for the Transgender Day of Remembrance ceremony. It was amazing and tender, and on a personal note, moved me to see some of you there and participating in that. Thank you. Monday and Tuesday night, this coming Monday and Tuesday night, the Diversity Inclusion Commission's webinar, They Are Here, Affirming the Gender Non-Binary Experience. And so for many of us, this is a new paradigm, and so this is an opportunity for you to get some education on the Monday night presentation. And then Tuesday night, there will be time for conversation and questions. Reverend Champion Fleming, Reverend Z. Egloff, and some other folks that they have will be facilitating this webinar. Our Centers for Spiritual Living Diversity Inclusion Commission host is Sheila Alexander Reed, who is an amazing individual out of Washington, D.C. So I really encourage you, the information of how to access this is on our center's newsletter. So reach out, grab that link, register, and know that you are welcome in this arena and format. Hope you join us. Morning meditations are available to you Monday through Saturday from 8 to 8:30 Pacific time. The Monday meditation is facilitated by Reverend Sarah Nichols, and then I facilitate the ones Tuesday through Saturday. They are all live streamed in the same locations as this service is, so you can find them on YouTube, Facebook, and Zoom. The link to that is also in our newsletter. And the recordings, because it's live streamed, it's automatically recorded to our YouTube channel, Sierra Spiritual. So feel free to avail yourself of any of these meditations at any time. They have been happening since the first initial restrictions hit from the pandemic. And so there's a ton of them there, and we do know that folks are accessing them after it happens because YouTube tells us that. And so just know if you need a little assistance getting quiet, those are available to you. Where did it go? All right. Okay, this Wednesday, I cannot see the time. Let me move that. There we go. What you can't see on your end is that there's a bunch of control panels in our live streaming format that sometimes block the slides, and they help me see how much the sound is, so I know whether to go up or down with that and different things. And sometimes they're in the way. So this Thursday, I will be holding a Thanksgiving Eve service at 6 p.m. Have something handy to write on. Normally in our in-person Thanksgiving Eve service, we would do a visioning process and write down what we imagine being grateful for this time in 2021. And so we're still going to do that. And we're going to figure out a way to complete that process next year. And I'm sure that the divine idea will come to me before Wednesday evening. I will be mailing out the ones that you filled out last year this afternoon, and so you should have them by Thursday so that you can see what oftentimes feels like magic of setting an intention and activating it in law, and then voila, it shows up. That's how all of this works. And so I will be getting those back to you and hope that you will join me on Wednesday evening where you can continue to cook at your leisure and participate in the Thanksgiving Eve service. So there are bonuses to this different way of doing things. All right. So I do want to take just another moment, and it was brought to my attention that doing the giving affirmation earlier, that it might be helpful to do a quick reminder at the end. And so I heard you, and here we are. And so I just want to remind folks that we are wholly sustained by your giving. And so you can go to www.sierracenter.org and across the top and follow the pages to giving. Our website is now secure. It wasn't previously. It is now secure. And so that is a safe way to give. We're working on coming up with a plan for text to give and a QR reader, but we're not there yet. So right now, the most direct way is through our Facebook page. Otherwise, you are welcome to mail your contribution. Do so, please mail that to the P.O. Box 2714, Grass Valley. Please do not have mail sent here to the building because we do not have a mailbox or anything, and so there's a concern. Sometimes the Postal Service just leaves them on the front porch, and I would have no way of knowing if something actually disappeared or not. So if you're going to mail a check, please mail it to Sierra Center for Spiritual Living, P.O. Box 2714, Grass Valley, California, 95945. And we will gratefully receive those. If you are in need of prayer, also on our website, www.sierracenter.org, under Meet Us, you will see the information there on how to reach out to myself or one of the practitioners. We are available to pray with you. If you are wanting something a little more in-depth, practitioners are available for spiritual coaching and spiritual guidance on a 4-fee service for a full practitioner session. And so just know that there are resources available to you. You don't have to navigate anything alone. We are here with you. We are here for you. And so we're going to close out with our song, Let's Work Together. Thank you for being with us this morning. Thank you for navigating in good humor the little technical glitches. Know that you are loved. Here we go.
1, 2, 3, 4. Together we'll stand, the fire will fall. Come on, people, let's get on and work together. Come on, let's work together. Because together we will stand to the highest part of man. full of heart and the place is grand and work together.